Hello everybody, welcome back to Reading for Vocabulary. I'm Brian Stuart. We're continuing our subject of space, but in this lesson, lesson 8, we're talking about an eclipse, an eclipse. So, in this lesson, we will focus on, let's talk about eclipses, and what people thought about them. What did people think about eclipses a long time ago? But first, we have to think about what is an eclipse. We should know that. That's a little bit of a difficult word, isn't it? Eclipse. 조금 힘들어, right? It's a little bit of a difficult word. Well, an eclipse is shown in these pictures here. What is this? This is a picture of the sun. So this is the sun in the sky. Don't look at the sun, right? Never look at the sun. But this is what it looks like, right? If you take a picture of it. Now, during an eclipse, something is happening to the sun. What's happening? Is something eating the sun? No, that's what people thought a long time ago because it looks like something's eating it. But what's really happening is that this circle here, this is the moon. The moon, right? So, think about this. The sun is really far away. The moon is a lot closer. If you're on Earth, you're sitting at home. Of course, you're on Earth, right? But think this is the sun. It's really far away. This is the moon. And the moon sometimes will come like this, and it will cover the sun. Of course, the moon is very small, the sun is very big, but because the moon is much closer to you, it seems a lot bigger than the sun. And in fact, it's very interesting, it's kind of a coincidence, that on Earth, if the moon moves directly between you on Earth and the sun, it's about the same size. That's really amazing to look at. So what we have here is the moon is slowly covering the sun. But don't worry, after this it will go away. The sun will come back, right? So don't worry. But this is what we call an eclipse. Now this here, the moon is perfectly covering the sun. That's called a full eclipse, a full eclipse. But you have to be in the right spot on Earth to see a full eclipse. If you're, 100 or 1,000 miles in another direction, maybe the moon doesn't fully cover the sun. Maybe it only covers here and it just moves along and the top part of the sun is not covered. That would be a partial eclipse. So the moon only covers part of the sun as it passes between you and the sun. That would be a partial eclipse or a full eclipse. When we do the reading, we're going to be thinking about the full eclipse. And if you ever have a chance to see a full eclipse, that's great. Your teacher will tell you about it. But remember, don't ever look at the sun, even during a full eclipse. You should wear special glasses or look at the shadow of the sun on a piece of paper through a special device. Or you could use a camera. But don't ever look at the sun during an eclipse. Okay, well, let's take a look at some of the words we need to know to understand the reading passage about eclipses and what people thought about eclipses. The first word here, well, we have a picture. What's going on here? We have some eggs. Where'd that egg go? Who took my egg? I'm hungry. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. There's an egg that's missing. It went from sight. We can't see it anymore. What happened? It disappeared. So if something is there one moment and then you look again and it's not there, it disappeared. It disappeared. Disappear. Now be careful when you say this. Disappear. So disappear. 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 You can say that something disappears. Don't say was disappeared. That's Konglish. Don't say that. Many students will say that. Say, my watch disappeared. My wallet, I hope not, but my wallet disappeared, right? I had it on my desk, then it's gone. It disappeared. Not it was disappeared, just it disappeared. So, it disappeared. That's how you say that. It disappeared. The egg disappeared. My glasses disappeared. Okay? So that's the correct way to use disappear. Okay, next one. 2. Oh my God. Oh, sorry, I was suddenly scared. Right, what is that? That's very scary. I'm afraid. Okay, a devil or bad spirit. Another word for a devil or a bad spirit, we call it a demon. Demon. 2 words. Demon. Demon. But don't worry, demons aren't real, okay? They're just imagination. We think of demons, right? This is a very scary looking demon, right? Looks like somebody is dressed up for Halloween, right? So demons are from like folk tales or imaginary tales that people tell. Demon. Don't be scared. They're not real. Whew. Okay. 3. Oh, so romantic, right? Here's a man, he's proposing to his girlfriend. He's proposing with, what is this? This is an engagement ring. Engagement ring. That's kind of a long word for you. Sorry, ring. Engagement ring. When a man wants a woman to marry him, he will give her a ring and he will say, will you marry me? And their love will go on with no end. And it's forever. We hope, okay? That's the ideal situation. We hope that it goes on forever. Sometimes it doesn't, but that's another story. Okay, so, but anyway, it's an interesting picture to illustrate forever. Hopefully their love will be forever. Until they die, they will be married. They will love each other, I hope, for the rest of their lives. For them, forever. Of course, when you talk about forever, people, we don't live forever. We die very quickly. But if we talk about things like things that go on forever, for a very long time, there's no change, right? They go on for millions and millions and millions of years, right? We can say that's forever. Okay. Number 4. Now what's going on here? To make the meaning clear. So this person is explaining something to this man over here, explaining or telling him exactly what this paper is about, right? To make the meaning of something clear, you explain. Please explain this form to me. Please explain this letter to me. Explain. Explain. So be careful. P-L. Pull. P, P, and L. O. Explain. Explain. It's 2 sounds. Explain. Explain. Okay? Now be careful. Do not use about with explain. Don't do that. Don't ever do this, please. Explain about. Please explain about the form. No. Please explain the form. Please explain the problem. Please explain to me how to do something. But don't say explain to me about the problem. No. Don't use about with explain. You don't need to. Okay? And it's most times it's incorrect. Okay. So number 5. Get in the way or stop. This person's playing soccer. They are what we call the goalie, right? The goalie or goalkeeper. You can also call him the goalkeeper. He wants to stop the ball. So what is he doing? He is blocking. To block. Block, right? Stop it, right? Stop the ball or catch the ball. So the ball doesn't go into the goal, right? To get in the way or stop. To block. Now, be careful because when you're walking on the street, you can block other people, right? You get in the way. So always, looking around, making sure you don't block other people, especially when you're going through a door or you're going onto the subway or, you know, people are coming in and out like in an elevator, right? So we have to be careful we don't block people from moving in and out of buses, subways, and elevators. So block isn't just for sports, it's also every day when we're walking around, okay? Okay, number 6, sorry. Bad or harmful. Whew, again, another scary picture, right? We have a witch and we have a bat, but there's no Batman, I'm sorry. What is this? We say it's evil. Bad or harmful, something that is bad, something that is harmful to many people. We can say, one word we can use is evil. Evil. It's 2 sounds, evil, v. You make the vibration, v. Evil, evil, evil. Okay? That's how you pronounce it. Maybe a little difficult to pronounce. Evil. Number 7. Oh, look at this. What are these people doing? They are recycling. They are putting together all of the plastic, right? What are they doing? They are gathering all the plastic together to come together. When you put all the plastic together, you're gathering all the plastic. When you put all the cardboard or paper together, you're gathering it all together. So to come together means to gather. Also, people get together. We can say they are gathering. So it's not just things that gather. People also gather with their bodies, right? Their bodies get together. They are gathering. Maybe it's a concert, a meeting, some type of event. People will gather together. Number 8. She's a musician. Right? A musical instrument played by hitting it. So what is this musical instrument? What do we call it? We call it a drum. That's very easy. It's a drum. Now, we saw this before, and I've just explained it. We used this word at the beginning of the lesson. Do you remember? When the moon is in the sky, lights up the sky. Okay, no, sorry, that's an Italian song. Okay, I'm sorry. When the moon is between the sun and the earth. So when the moon is between the earth and the sun, the moon comes between and it blocks the sun. That's a word we used before, blocks the sun. Of course, we call that an eclipse. An eclipse is when the moon is between the sun and the earth. Okay. 10. Scared. Somebody who's scared. Another word for scared, very easily, is afraid. Scared, afraid. I am afraid, I am scared. Same thing. Before, when we saw the picture of the demon, whoo, right there, I was scared, I was afraid. But just for a second. Don't worry, demons aren't real. Okay. 11. When I saw this picture, I'm like, what is that father doing? That's really, really foolish. Now, the word is silly. I could also say, you know, that's really stupid. My gosh, this father, what is he doing? That's terrible. It's foolish, it's silly, it's really stupid. I mean, this boy or girl, I don't know which, it's very possible she or he will get hurt, right? So it's very foolish, a very dumb thing to do. Another word is dumb. I think in, dumb. I think in Korean, that's B, not P. Dumb. I hope I'm not dumb. But in Korean, you say pabo, right? Pabo. Okay. Foolish, silly, stupid, or dumb. Okay. Oh my gosh. Whoa, he scared me for a minute. Okay. What's he doing? He looks like he is what? He wants something to eat. He is hungry. Although he kind of looks more angry than he looks hungry, right? But he's really, really hungry. He's very fierce about his hunger. Okay? So he wants something to eat. He is hungry. Okay. What's going on here? What we're looking at is to hit the hands together to make a noise. So we're looking at this action right here. Not this action, not anything going on here, but we're looking at this action right here. To hit the hands together to make noise. What am I doing? I am clapping. He is clapping. So when you go to the theater, or if you see a play by other students, and you want to show, hey, good job, then you clap, right? Good job. So clap for the people. Oh, this is interesting. Are you hungry? Hopefully not like that guy we saw before, but this makes me hungry. You know, I like apples. Probably you like apples too. But we can see something interesting here. We can see many, many green apples, right? There's one red apple. Almost all of something. So almost all the apples are green. One apple is red. We can say also most. Most of the apples are green, but not all of the apples, because there's one apple that's red. And it doesn't matter if it was one or two, maybe two apples are red. We can still say most of the apples are green, because there's still many, many more green apples than there are red. Even if there's one, two, maybe this one's red and this one's red, still, you still have many more green apples, so most of the apples are green. Most. Okay. 15, very beautiful town. Looks like it's in Europe, and I just said the word. A place larger than a village. A village is chagan, right? Just a few houses together. It's just a small place where people live, you know, a few houses together, maybe, 20 families or something like that. Not very big. A city is huge, like Seoul or Busan, right? Very big. Many people live there. But what's in between? Not as big as Seoul, not as small as a tiny village, but in between, middle size, in the middle. We say it's a town. So a town is a place larger than a village, but smaller than a city. Okay. 16. Wow, these kids are having fun, aren't they? To say something in a loud voice. These kids like to rah, right? What are they doing? They are shouting. To shout. To say something in a loud voice is to shout. Okay, that wraps up the words. Let's take a look at some exercises that we can use to remember these words. Okay, how well do you remember the words? We have 4 words here. What we need to do is write the word next to its meaning. So we have the definitions here, the meanings, and these are the words that we have to write in these blanks to match them with their meanings. The words are disappear, disappear, explain, explain, forever, forever, and evil, evil. Okay. Number 1, to go from sight, to suddenly you can't see it anymore, right? You saw it now, but then you look back, oh, it's gone. It went from your sight. What does that mean? It disappeared. It disappeared. Okay? To disappear. 3, with no end. There's no end. It seems to go on and on and on. There's no end. I don't see any end. It is forever. Forever. Number 3, to make the meaning clear. So you want to make the meaning of something clear. You're going to talk to another person or other people, and you're going to make them understand the meaning of something you are explaining. Please explain this to them. Not explain about. Explain this to them. Just explain. 4, bad, wicked, or harmful. Something that is bad, wicked, or harmful. Of course, we have left evil. Something that is evil. It's bad, it's wicked, or it's harmful. Okay, guess what? Hey, we have another exercise for you. So, in this exercise, we need to write a word from the box under each clue. Clue. It's these are the clues that we have that go with these words. It's not really matching with the definitions because they don't define these words, but it's kind of like a hint or a clue that lets you know what the word is. Let's take a look. The words are, again, we see disappear, disappear. Well, it's a new one now. Gather, gather. Forever, forever. Demon, demon. And drum, drum. Okay, number 1. I'm bad and scary. Right? Remember that picture I saw that I was very scared at the beginning, but then I realized they aren't real. But what are they? Of course, they are demons. Demon. 2, bring them all to one place. You bring something together to one place. And either it could be things like paper, plastic, or it could be people. People all come to one place. What's going on? They're gathering, to gather. Gather, bring all to one place. Bring something or many people to one place. 3, it's gone, so we can't see it, right? You saw it, then you're looking at it, it's gone. Where'd it go? It what? What did it do? It disappeared. To disappear. It disappeared. 4, goes on and on and on forever, okay? I just said the word. Goes on and never stops. What did I say? I said forever, right? Goes on and on, never stops. It's forever. 5, you hit it to make music. You hit something to make music. It's an instrument, right? It is a drum. You hit a drum to make music. It's a musical instrument. It's a drum. Okay, well that wraps it up for the vocabulary section. Hopefully you've learned some new words. We're going to use these words after the break to take a look at a reading passage about eclipses. So come back soon. See you soon. Okay, welcome back. Let's go over the reading passage together. And the reading passage, of course, is talking about eclipses. So it starts off with a question. Many reading passages start with questions, asking you if you know about the subject of the reading passage, like this one. Do you know what an eclipse is? So first of all, we're looking at the subject, and the author is asking the reader a question. What do you know about this subject? Of course, the author doesn't expect you to answer because you're reading it, right? The author isn't there. It's just a question to get you to think about the subject. Do you know what an eclipse is? And then, of course, after this question, when we're reading, we can expect to see the answer right away. An eclipse is, it's an eclipse. It's when the moon blocks the sun. So an eclipse is when the moon blocks the sun. Very simple definition. Maybe, we're not sure, but maybe, probably, because eclipses happen quite often. Maybe you've seen one before. The sky, the earth, everything becomes dark, right? The sky becomes dark, the earth becomes dark, everything becomes dark because the moon is blocking the sun's light. So if you see a full eclipse, remember I taught you about a full eclipse, everything becomes really dark and it could be a little scary, right? Well, today we know a lot about eclipses, and that's today, right? Today we know many things about the earth, about the sun, the other planets. We know about our moon. Hey, people have even been to the moon, right? And come back. So we know a lot about these things today, right? So we know about eclipses today. We know most eclipses, most of them refer back to eclipses, last for just a few minutes. We know that. We know the eclipse will only last for. How long will the eclipse be? It will only last for a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, not very long. We even know, so we know how long they will last, but we even know when they will happen. We can predict because we know how fast the moon is traveling. We know how fast the earth is moving. We know where the sun is. We know all these things today because scientists have studied these things and they can tell us when eclipses will happen, and they are very accurate. They know down to the day, to the hour, to the minute when an eclipse will happen and where on earth you have to be to see the full eclipse. But here we have a break. See, all of this is talking about today. After the break here, but long ago, in the past, people didn't know these things. They didn't know that they lasted for a few minutes. They didn't know when eclipses would happen. This is a long time ago. And so, because they didn't know, they were afraid of eclipses. Imagine that. A long time ago, people didn't know about the moon, much about the moon or the sun. They thought the sun went around the earth. Okay, but they didn't know. Okay, we can't really blame them. They didn't know. But when all of a sudden the moon, an eclipse happened, everything got dark and they didn't know why. So they were afraid. They became scared. Many people thought they refers to eclipses. Many people thought eclipses were evil, right? They were bad. They could cause harm, right? Without the sun, there would be no food. That's evil, right? They thought the sun disappeared. Oh my gosh, we can't grow food. Everybody's going to die. That's very harmful. That's very dangerous. It's evil, right? Maybe some evil force is causing this. Somebody is trying to hurt us. The sun gives us light, right? And makes plants grow. So when the sun disappeared, people got scared. The sun disappeared, there's no light, plants can't grow. Oh my gosh, it's the end of the world, right? That's what people thought. They got very scared. So, people didn't know what was going on. All they knew was that they got scared and there was no light. So, people have good imaginations, right? So, with your imagination, you can make stories. And many people made stories. They made stories to explain why the sun was disappearing. Stories were told. Were told. Who told them? Many people. It doesn't say. It just says stories were told. Why? To explain. To explain what? Why the sun was disappearing. Okay? So some people told stories. Why did they tell stories? To explain. To explain what? Why the sun was disappearing. Right? Because nobody knew. They had to tell stories. That's the only, they couldn't find out for real. They just told stories. So some people telling the stories said a hungry demon in the sky was eating the sun. Wow, that must be a really big demon, right? But they didn't know how big the sun was. The sun didn't look very big. It was just small up in the sky. Imagine if that was true. So the author is asking, imagine if a demon was actually eating the sun. Wow, that's pretty crazy. That would be the end of the world. So people said it's a demon that eats the sun. How did they explain when the sun came back? Maybe the demon will bite? I don't know. But that's what the story was. Okay. Every town had a different story. Of course, a long time ago, there were more towns. There weren't that many big cities, right? Most people lived on farms, in villages, and in towns. And in each town, in each area, the people had a different story to explain what was going on. Some towns thought an animal was blocking the sun, right? So in some towns, they thought an animal. I don't know what kind of animal could be in the sky, but they thought it was some animal up in the air was blocking the sun. They're kind of close, right? It wasn't an animal, it was a moon, but they didn't know. But anyway, they thought it was blocking the sun. So what would they do? They would even try to scare the animal, to scare the animal into leaving, right? So if it's an animal, these are townspeople. Their experiences with farm animals or wild animals, they know animals can be scared if you make a lot of noise. So what they would do, they would all get together to sing and shout at the eclipse. Oops, let's get rid of that. To sing and shout at the eclipse. So they would get together to sing and shout, make a lot of noise, because they thought if we make a lot of noise, the animal will get scared and get out of the way of the sun. It's kind of funny, isn't it? Okay? And they would do these things. By the way, we're using wood. Wood. You notice that we're using wood a lot because we're talking about what people did in the past. In this case, we could even use used to, because it's what they did in the past, but they don't do it now. They don't do this now because we know better. But a long time ago, they would do this. Okay, they would, or they used to sing and shout at the sun. They banged drums. Banged is the same as hit, right? They banged drums and clapped their hands too. So they sang, they shouted, hey! They hit drums, banged drums, and they clapped their hands. Maybe some people were not good at singing, like me. I would probably just clap my hands. Maybe, though, if I sang, the animal really would be afraid. Okay, so, but basically they thought that loud noises would make the animal go away. What were the loud noises? We can see gathered together, singing, shouting, banging drums, and clapping their hands. These are all the loud noises that they made. They thought these loud noises would make the animal go away, get out of there. Okay, shouting at the sun may seem silly to us now, right? Nowadays, of course, shouting at the sun is silly. If you go outside and go, hey sun, what are you doing? People around you think, well, you're crazy, you're silly, what are you doing? The sun's not going to do anything. Or if there's an eclipse and you shout, they'll say, what are you shouting at the moon for? The moon can't hear you. So it seems silly to do that now. But long ago, people thought it was the only way to get the sun back. So they were afraid. The sun disappeared. So they shouted. They didn't know. They just did something and the sun came back. They thought it worked. So every time that they shouted, the sun came back. So they're going to keep shouting, right? It's kind of funny. They were afraid it might be dark forever. It might be dark forever. The sun's gone. Oh my gosh, what happens if it's dark forever? Let's shout at the animal or whatever it is that's blocking the sun and it will go away. Okay, so it's kind of funny to think about what people thought a long time ago because people didn't know about the world. They didn't have a very good scientific knowledge about what was going on. And by the way, this is a good picture to look at. You see these kids are looking at the solar eclipse or the eclipse and they're wearing special glasses. This is very important. Again, I'll say it again. Don't look at an eclipse without special equipment on your or covering your eyes or protecting your eyes. You must protect your eyes. Don't look at the sun with, just your eyes or just normal glasses. Don't do that. Use special glasses, or you can look at the sun or see the shadow that's made as the eclipse happens. That's the best way to look at an eclipse. They're very interesting, very amazing things, but we know what they really are now. Okay. Let's talk about the comprehension questions. Number 1, this story is about what? What was this entire story about? A, demons. B, banging drums. C, eclipses. D, shadows. Okay, this story is about demons. Okay, we heard about a demon. That was one possible explanation people a long time ago had for the eclipse, that a demon was eating the sun. But that was just one little part of the story. We weren't talking about demons. The whole story wasn't telling us details about demons. B, banging drums. Again, the story just mentioned banging drums as a way that people used to try to get their sun back, right? But it wasn't the whole story. This story was not about drums and playing drums and how to bang drums. No, we didn't hear all those details. We just heard the fact that drums were used for something else, right? This whole story was about eclipses? Yes, that's the answer, right? Because we're talking about, eclipses, what they are, what people a long time ago thought they were, and what they did to get out of an eclipse or to make the eclipse stop. So the story is about eclipses. Not about shadows, right? We don't really talk about shadows at all in the story, just when the moon shadow is over the earth. But the passage really didn't mention that, okay? So that's not the answer. Of course, it's not the answer. The whole story was about eclipses. Okay, number 2. During an eclipse. This means during the time of an eclipse. Remember, eclipses last about 2 or 3 minutes, right? So during that time, that's a little bit of time, other things can happen. During an eclipse, A, the sun blocks the moon. B, all the shadows get bigger. C, the moon blocks the sun. D, a demon eats the sun. D, no, I hope you didn't choose that, right? Absolutely not. We don't live 300, 400 years ago, right? We live today. We know demons don't exist. They're not real, and demons don't eat the sun. We know that. Okay. Basically, what we need to look at is what happens during an eclipse. What is causing the eclipse, right? Is it that the sun blocks the moon? That would mean that, I need 3 objects here. Let's say this is the earth, this is the sun, and this is the moon. That means the sun comes and blocks the moon? Think about that. If that happened, if the sun got between the earth and the moon, we would all die. Okay, the sun is too big. The sun would cover the earth and the moon would be inside the sun. So A, obviously, is incorrect. Thank goodness that never happens, because we would all burn to death. Okay, B, all the shadows get bigger. No. But this one, the moon blocks the sun. Okay, now this is the moon, this is the earth, and this is the sun. Yes, the moon comes between, because there's a lot of space, right? The moon goes around the earth, the sun is actually way out here, right? And the moon blocks the sun. Okay, so that's the right answer, C. During an eclipse, the moon blocks the sun, not the sun blocks the moon. That's very dangerous. Okay. 3. Long ago, people beep when there was an eclipse. What did people do during an eclipse a long time ago? Did they dance? Passage didn't mention anything about dancing. They were silent. They all kept quiet. The passage didn't say anything about keeping quiet, so that's not the correct answer. They slept. Said, oh, there's an eclipse. Time to go to bed. No, the passage didn't say that. And D, sang and shouted. That's what they did. They wanted to make noise. So long ago, people sang and shouted when there was an eclipse because they wanted to make a lot of noise to scare away that animal that was blocking the sun. They thought the animal was blocking the sun. So they sang and shouted. They made a lot of loud noises. Okay, number 4. There would be no what without the sun. And we have no. So what would be absent? What would be gone if the sun wasn't there? There would be no moon. There would be no food. There would be no earth, or there would be no water. Which is the correct answer? A, there would be no moon without the sun. That doesn't make sense. If the sun was gone, right, the moon would still be there, right? So that's not the right answer. There would be no food without the sun. Okay, that's what the passage specifically said. The passage said that without the sun, plants can't grow. And as we know, if plants can't grow, there's going to be no vegetables, no fruits. Other animals that eat plants, they would die. So, and we eat those animals, there would be no food. There would be no food without the sun. Not no earth, right? That's not right. That's not what the passage said. And no water, they didn't say that either. The right answer is no food. There would be no food without the sun. So thankfully, eclipses only last for a few minutes. Okay, this is an eclipse again. Looks like the moon is either coming in or leaving the sun. Eclipses are really amazing things to look at. If you do get a chance, go see an eclipse. Very amazing. But again, be careful about how you look at the eclipse. Let's look at some interesting ideas about eclipses. An eclipse, as we know, is when the moon blocks the sun. This is the moon. It looks like a shadow, but we can't really see the moon. normally, but when it gets between the sun, it's blocking the sun. Then we can see it. Okay, what else? Many people thought that eclipses, they, meaning eclipses, many people thought they were evil, that eclipses were evil. They would cause harm to people. Every town had a different story. And of course, this is a long time ago. We didn't have newspapers or telephones or television, right? People had different stories in different towns about why this was happening. And finally, the townspeople would gather to sing and shout at the eclipse, right? That's what they would do a long time ago because they didn't understand what was going on. They thought this was an animal blocking the sun. So let's make loud noises, the animal will go away. Well, thankfully, we live in a time where we know a lot more about the earth, the moon, the sun. We know a lot about other things too, our own bodies, many things on earth that happen. We know why. We know a lot about why things occur. We don't have to live in a time where people believed in stories, made up stories or demons or evil things like that. We live in a time where we can explain most of those things and we can use our logic and reasoning to understand why things happen. So we won't be foolish running around shouting at the sun and clapping for imaginary animals to get out of the way. Okay? So that's kind of funny. So it's good to be living in these times to know more about what we're doing. But anyway, this is interesting. I hope you've learned a little bit about the world too as you studied this lesson. So you know, next time there's an eclipse, you don't have to go outside and shout and sing and clap and bang a drum. Just look at it. Be amazed at this amazing happening that's going on in nature. Okay, well, we'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.